How did we all get here? What made us all think that we can make videos for YouTube? There might be several answers to that question. One, maybe we saw somebody else do it on YouTube first. Two, we saw a video at a video store or a flea market. Or three, maybe the best one of all, you might have seen somebody do it on TV. Well, tonight I think I found the guy that might be responsible for every one of us and nobody really knows. This guy made videos, had his own TV show, and propelled metal detecting into the common world for everybody. That's why I'm pleased to announce tonight that our guest is going to be the one and only Bill Ladd. Hey, what is going on, everybody? I'm really happy about tonight. I've been working on this one for a little while, and I started this stream out thinking that this was going to be a lot of the people that I like to watch and the people that I follow and think a lot of, and as far as the treasure hunting community goes. Well, Bill tops all of them. He's probably the first one that I ever really sit down and watch most of their videos. I'm going to go ahead and grab Mr. Nick today and get him up here for just a second, because I have a feeling that this is gonna be a good one tonight. What's up, brother?
How's it going, man?
Oh, pretty good. I've been really anxiously awaiting today and get this thing on the road. I know I mentioned to you, and I didn't know that how much background you had, but before today, what did you know about Bill Ladd and Dig Fellas, or before we talked about it earlier this week? And let me know where you stood as far as my poll goes this week.
So I did know the name. It took me a little bit to catch on where I had heard it from. I go and I watch TV with my dad a couple times or once a week or something, and we're always into like the treasure shows or the history, and it's always something with like Josh Gates, or we do the Oak Island thing, and that's how my dad and I really stay close, is through stuff like that and other stuff. But once I figured it out, I was like, hey, do you recognize this name? He's like, oh yeah. So it took me a minute, but yeah, once all the clues clicked together, I was like, I know that guy. Well, I know of him. I don't personally know him.
Yeah, so at this point, there's 37 in the house right now. Thank everybody for being here. But 69% of our audience so far on my poll did not know who Bill Ladd was. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the man, star of Dig Fellas, with the Travel Channel and then Destination America, and one of my favorite treasure hunters of all time. Welcome, everybody, Mr. Bill Ladd.
What is up?
What's going on, Bill?
It's Thirsty Thursday, right?
Yes, sir.
Right on.
I can drink on film then.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for the flattering introduction, by the way. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, kind of goes back to what we've been talking about a little bit. And once I realized a lot of the guys in here and girls in here weren't familiar with you, I felt like that made it a very interesting way to go about tonight.
I think it's just a new wave of treasure hunters, and maybe I'm getting old.
No.
Dig Fellas was on television in 2014, so that's it seems like yesterday, but I guess that's a few years in the past now. But like you just mentioned, I've done the Josh Gates shows a couple times, and flattered to still get out there and do what I can, and that maybe my YouTube videos are a little not as frequent as they were before, but I'm still getting out there and digging stuff, so still enjoying it. I do other things too. I'm big into mushrooming and flea marketing and stuff, but it all kind of goes hand in hand. I'll pick a edible mushroom while I'm metal detecting in the woods. So
yeah, that's big in this community too. You get a lot of the morel chat going on in here early spring.
We don't get many of those morels, but I've had them before, and they're always good. But it's unfortunate that if I post a picture of me holding a mushroom instead of holding a coin, then people say, Oh, he just does mushrooming now. He doesn't dig anymore.
Fire away, Nick.
Yeah, Shane had me prep some questions in my head, and I always kind of freeze at this point. So,
I like wing.
um,
Anything you got, fire away.
so especially with like the poll is how it is tonight, a lot of people maybe had not recognized your name, so maybe not everybody's familiar with exactly what you do. So let's just start off by uh, just give us a background. Like you said, you do a little bit of mushroom hunting, and along with all of the other stuff that you do. Maybe tell us a little bit about that room you got that you're sitting in. You were talking to us about a minute ago, and how all this started with you.
Yeah, how it all started was I just come from a family of my grandfather had a metal detector. It's right over my other shoulder. That one behind me. There's a lot of old vintage metal detectors, some hanging on the ceiling and stuff. My grandfather took me out when I was a little boy, metal detecting with that old white detector on the other shoulder over there. And I was probably 8 years old, going metal detecting, and we were the only game in town. We were finding silver coins and stuff. The first coin I ever dug was a silver quarter.
That's awesome.
You like that quarter?
Quarter.
Quarter. I still got the silver quarter in the display case behind me. It's nice to have your first find. It's funny, it's still got a big scratch on it because back then you dug with a screwdriver. They didn't want you tearing up the park, so everybody probed with a screwdriver.
Right.
So, that's a good way to scratch coins. That's why no one digs with a screwdriver anymore. But that's pretty much how it started. Another thing is, bottle digging with my dad and my aunt. My aunt had a bottle dump right behind her house. So I was like a little kid watching my aunt and my dad dig bottles. So even before I got a metal detector, or was, begged my parents to buy me one and didn't get one till age 12 Christmas, found a metal detector under the tree.
Nice.
But before you can get a metal detector, you can go in the woods and dig bottles. So there's a lot of bottles behind me as well. And it's to me, it's all treasure hunting. There's some people that are just coin shooters, or maybe some people that just do Indian artifacts or whatever. I like to consider myself an all-around treasure hunter. And people who have seen my videos, I've done videos finding fossils. I've done videos, a lot of bottle digs. I've done, the Cella holes are probably the main staple of what we do up here because we're kind of spoiled. We got Cella holes that go back to the 1600s scattered all through the woods here.
Oh yeah, there's tons of people in the chat from the Northeast area. A lot of New Jersey, a lot of New York, Pennsylvania. Uh, a lot of them talk about the cellar holes.
I see a question on the screen. Is it Beth saying that they read about me in Western Eastern magazine?
Yeah, I seen that, and I posted it up so you can see it.
There's yeah. Thanks for doing that. That's a great. It's nice that that's an old fan from before television,
Right.
But to go back to where I was, so I go out with my grandfather under the Christmas tree at age 12. I get a cheap TR metal detector. It's one of these up on the ceiling, I think. First finds a mercury dime because we lived in a 1820 plantation in South Carolina. And then, so I'm like 12-year-old kid getting the metal detect in 1820 South Carolina plantation. Age 13, I find the oldest known slave tag ever dug.
Wow.
When I'm in my 20s, I bring it to the Antiques Roadshow. That thing's appraised at $15,000. And it's
Holy
still
cow.
the oldest known slave tag.
Yeah.
So that was my first taste of, that's my first time on television was Antiques Roadshow with that find. And I think I had mentioned, or I might have mentioned on the Antiques Roadshow, or mentioned somewhere in a treasure magazine or something, that I found it with a Fisher metal detector. And the next thing I know, Fisher's contacted me saying they want to do an article and could you start field testing for us? So then
Wow.
I start field testing. Then I start writing for Western Eastern Magazine. I don't even know. Is Western Eastern Treasures Magazine? A lot of the ads on the wall behind me were Fisher ads. And then YouTube came into, when YouTube started becoming, it was still in its infancy. I had an idea that maybe I got sick of writing field tests. I wanted to do a video, started to do video field tests on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I thought, so then, again, making a long story short, get a YouTube channel, one of the first treasure hunters to do it, probably the first one to do cellar holes. A lot of people in the South never even heard the term cellar hole. It's basically just the stone foundations we have up here.
Right.
And that was the main thing that we were detecting, and people were fascinated by it. And the goofy videos were seen by a Hollywood producer who had just finished doing the show Storage Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And those Storage Wars got really big in around 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
They thought if those Storage Wars shows are kind of like a treasure hunt in a storage bin, how about a real treasure hunting show? And they took the Dig fellas to the big time. So
That's awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
they definitely spread you out around the world, didn't they?
We didn't go out of the States, but we went all around the country. There was talk of like going to England and stuff. But the travel was my favorite part because we got to go to New Mexico, Arizona, California, all these places I never would have been otherwise. I had never been on the West Coast. I mean, Washington State, all these places I never would have gone before. So the Pacific Northwest is beautiful. I loved, the Billy the Kid town we did in New Mexico, all that kind of stuff. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a question about how do I locate cellars. Satellite imagery is a good way because they're all surrounded by stone walls. And if you hit the satellite images like Bing or Google Earth or whatever, a lot of those satellite photos of different areas, if you catch them when there were no leaves on the trees, you can see the stone walls running right through the woods.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you can just follow those right to site. So I would say most of the cellar holes, they all built stone walls as if to show their boundaries.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes they build stone walls to keep their cattle in and stuff too, or maybe keep animals out of their crops, whatever. Seems like all these sites and the stone walls up here are beautiful. Some of them go back to the 1600s. You probably see them in the videos.
Yeah, we see they're common around here. A lot of stone walls, and they're not very tall. They're not like a fence. They're definitely a border.
Up here, I was reading a book, and some of our stone walls are still tall. But they say if a stone wall was put up in the 1600s, like over 300 years ago, there's actually so much leaf litter that there's probably a row or two of stones that are underground. You know what I'm saying? So these
I believe that.
Taller.
Yeah, I totally believe that. My mom lives on a pretty steep sloped hill, and there's one that cuts right through the middle of that hill horizontally, not straight up and down. Okay. And it's old, but it's still standing, even on a sloped hill like that.
But I would say that's probably the question I get a lot is how do you find your cellar holes? A lot of it, before they had satellite imagery and stuff, it was just legwork. We'd find a chunk of woods that had stone walls in it. Those stone walls are all colonial.
Word of mouth.
They start getting into an area, there's a little square or the wall gets higher or more well dressed, or there's an opening, a break in the wall, and you could imagine that's where there was a wooden gate or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Old fashioned legwork, because a lot of things don't show up in satellite imagery. So.
That's it. So in your show, Dig Fell is the one that aired on television. They primarily had you do metal detecting?
Yeah, mostly it was. There was a couple times where they wanted to kind of switch it up a little bit. The pilot episode, they had us dig in a privy or a trash pit.
Yeah.
And there was a reason for that. The site we were on is a George Washington episode, and there was an account of George Washington breaking a bowl at this site. So we actually got into a trash pit on a back hill, and they thought it would be great to, say we were looking for pieces of George Washington's bowl, and we did find some early pieces. If you watch that episode,
Yeah.
And then of course, we're surmising, could it be from the bowl?
Right.
That's
how you keep interest. That's the magic of it all.
That's the thing, because the thing is, most people, I thought that it was going to be all metal detector people tuning in. It wasn't at all. It was Joe Schmo on his couch just changing channels and, saying, what's this? Maybe armchair treasure hunters more than real detectorists watching the show, So that's why you had to make it interesting for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you get to these sites, and they had you doing one specific thing over another, were there any instances where you were like, you know what, they want me to dig this privy for George Washington Bowl, but this is like a 1700s area. I want to detect this. Was there any situations that were kind of like that you missed out on that maybe you wish you could go back to, or maybe you did go back to?
Yeah, I would love it. I mean, there was a lot of stuff. There's television. They want, like I just kind of touched on, they want like different scenes, like
Right.
Civil War episode, for example. We got permission in a field where there was supposedly Civil War activity. So it's a farm field. That's
Okay.
a lot of times when I've hunted in Virginia in farm fields for bullets and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I thought we were going to do the whole episode, finding all this great stuff in a cornfield, right? No, they give you a few minutes in that field, and they might show one good relic that you dug, and then they'll tell you, okay, they have it all like broken down into, now we need to show something else. In other words, they think the average Joe will change the channel if they see just the background, the whole two guys in a field for half an hour. You know what I mean?
Right.
They want to show different stuff. So one critical thing about my show was, it was like we dig a bullet and then we'd go, all right, I want to check out the woods now or something, or I want to go to another place, but they're not seeing all of, in other words, it's hard to squeeze a lot into even a half an hour episode with all the commercials and stuff. I think it's 22 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's hard to squeeze every good find, or even my show was kind of cool because it would show us digging pull tabs too. We wanted to show that what it was really like. A lot of the shows would just show all the great coins and don't show us digging trash or filling holes up and all that stuff. We did all that. So
that's what we're about here, man. Everybody shows their trash, man. We all dig it. We all know it's there. We all want to see it.
We were the only show that showed it. So 22 minutes, they're showing. There was one scene that this was really cool. I was on that show, The Soup. The Soup, Joel McHale, they make fun of reality television. I don't know if it's still on anymore.
It's on like E-television or something.
I start off my videos with it. It's the guy, he makes fun of reality TV. We were on it twice.
Yeah.
So, but it made our ratings skyrocket because, you know what I mean? Here we have a show that gets millions of viewers making fun of us. Now everybody wants to tune in to see. So he made fun of me because I dug a can on the first episode. I dug a crushed beer can, And so, I mean, that's what they showed on the soup. But as you guys just said, we all dig cans. That's the reality of the hobby, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not all glitz and glam coming up out of the ground. You know, you dig 1,000 pull tabs a year. You know, if you're looking, if you're really looking,
Luckily,
that could be a good signal. That could be a gold ring.
luckily, I don't. I'm seeing the question about the Jeep. The production company bought us a 1970 CJ5 to drive on the show. They wanted us to drive up in a cool looking, rugged vehicle.
Yeah.
The production company actually gave it to me.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, they had it in storage in LA and it started to add up. I think the bill started. So that was nice to get that Jeep, though. Although it was hard to drive, it was a little 3-speed. 3-speed, a stick, 3-speed with a big giant steering wheel, looked like a bus steering. Those old Jeeps are funny.
They're fun to drive around here, man. You don't have to. Yeah, I mean, you get behind some Amish or something, you just cut through the cornfield. You don't have to worry about it.
That's what they were for. That's why they wanted us. That's why the opening of the show showed us like flying through the desert in Arizona, kicking up all kind of dust and plowing right over a little cacti and stuff.
You know, John the Digologist, one of our subscribers that's in here, just recently passed 1K subs, by the way. Congrats, John. He wants to know, what do you consider your best coin find?
Yep, I'm seeing that on the screen. That's kind of tough. I got 4 pine tree shillings to my credit, so it's got to be one of those. Maybe an oak tree shilling in really good condition. I'm looking around to see if there's a picture of it somewhere, but picture handy. Oh, that's a cut. Most people have never held 1 pine tree shilling, so but again, I'm right in the thick of it. I'm right where they were hammered, right here in New England. You know, the longtime detectorists. You know, that's the equivalent of maybe someone finding a gold coin or something. You know,
Yeah.
I was snake bit for so long. I had a friend who I started hunting fields with around here, and he had been in the hobby 6 years, and he found 2 pine tree shillings, and I was with him for both of them, and I was for one of them I was present with him, and the other one he showed me, and I was just like, I've got 30 years on this guy, and I've never dug one. The second one, I think he was mad because I was just like, what instead of like congratulating him, I was almost like, oh, you son of a gun, you know. But right after that, I found one, and then I found another, and then it kind of snowballed, and I found four all in various states. One of them was cut. I found that on camera on a YouTube video. I found one of the cut, like a cut into change. You know how they cut the Spanish coins?
Oh yeah.
They cut those too, because they were kind of spent like the silver.
Oh, I just do.
Yep.
You know,
that's how. Go ahead, Jay.
Cool coin. If talking about coins, it's not worth that much, but it's one of my only cobs.
Yeah, I was
was
sitting there talking, and was thinking about it really quick. Comparatively, probably something you probably wasn't expecting to get asked. And I know that I see it sometimes. There's a lot of counterfeit coins that were made back in the day in that area. What's your most exotic counterfeit coin that you found? Because I know that you can probably tell them apart.
Yeah, well, some of the British ones are really hard to tell. They might have a little goofier looking king on it, but they're actually more rare than the ones that came from England. So I love digging them. I found some King George coppers that what I've been told are counterfeit. So there's a couple that I've found at Cella holes that are just in beautiful shape. So I would say those are probably. But I've seen I saw a guy, one of my hunting buddies, dug a counterfeit gold coin. and it came out of the ground, and it had all the details and everything of it, and it said 5D for $5 gold piece, but it was like just made out of lead or something. So we just surmised they probably dipped it in, you know what I mean? Dipped it in some gold gilt or something, and that's so. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that up here. But
Did you have something else, Nick, when I cut you there?
No, I'm just adding to what you guys are saying, just conversing words into conversation.
Right on. So when Digfellas, when that season of Digfellas was coming to an end, I mean, I know it's probably, what was it like when you kind of probably found out that they weren't going to bring you back for another year, or it didn't go the way they maybe particularly wanted it to? How did you take that and try to run with it?
yeah, it was tough. It was tough on both of us, really. I mean, we were all set. We were helping out with the research for season 2. It was all set up. I was going to be sponsored by minelab for season 2. Sponsors were fighting over us, by the way. It was like, I think I used Garrett's, and I used a T2 and an F75 in the first season. But I mean, when you're on national television, everybody everybody was throwing gear at us.
Yeah.
So it was all set up, and it was just all of a sudden they pulled the plug on. I guess it was something to do with Travel Channel at that time was sold to the Food Network or something.
Huh.
Yeah, and then it was all kind of turned into that a new president came in or something, and the president was from the Food Network, and if his first line of business was just to come in and cancel a whole ton of shows. So it wasn't just like they didn't like Digfellas or we weren't making them any money. He just came in and cleaned house, basically. We had a sister show, Dig Wars was on after us, and I'm friendly with a lot of those guys. And it was cool to have 2 metal detecting shows back to back. They came right after us. We came on at 8 o'clock on Wednesday nights, and I think they showed 2 episodes usually. So 8, 9, and then they would come on at 10, I guess. So it was cool. Like I said, the detector people ate it up. But again, armchair detectorists, or maybe people into antiques and stuff, maybe people that never thought about metal detecting got into it. I know there was a lot of people that, came into my Digfella page on Facebook and said, I just went out and bought my first Garrett after watching you guys on TV and stuff. So it was good. Yeah.
So I mean, was there no conversation? Was there anybody else that was approached or asked about picking you guys up for that? And, was there any chance of saving the show at that point?
Everything was investigated, but unfortunately, TV's a cutthroat business. We were considered, once you're canceled, you're considered, it's hard to get on something else. We did, though, get picked up by Destination America. I think you had said that. And
yeah.
It's because Destination America is under that whole blanket. I think it's called Scripps Network or something, which owns like Discovery, Travel, Destination America, all these channels now. So we still, every once in a while, they'll run a Digfella marathon on Destination America. I always know because people start calling and my phone blows up, and people start calling my mother saying, I saw your son on television. And so it's cool to still, pop up every once in a while on television. I'd rather do more of the Josh Gates stuff, though, because he's really popular, and I get probably more people watch Josh Gates than ever watched us.
Well, sure enough. I mean, and when you're talking about Josh Gates, he's a real passionate guy, and I know that you're passionate about the hobby. You two together must have been a good time.
I know. I tried to talk him into doing a spin-off show with me and him, but he just said, you're my guy. You're my detectorist if I ever need somebody. So he has done a lot of spin-off shows, though. Now he's got some Expedition X where he's with a couple of different people. So, it's good to hear that if he ever needs a detectorist, he's going to look me up or whatever. he's the one that brought me on as the legend. Everybody got a kick out of that. People started calling me the legend because that's how Josh Gates always brings me on to his show.
That's funny.
But, you know, then all the haters start going, oh, he's a legend in his own mind, calls himself a legend. No, Josh Gates did. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Josh Gates is the man too. I mean, he's
cool,
all over the place. I'd like
born.
to meet him one day too.
He's super cool. Everybody asks me, you know, what's he like in person? Same normal guy. You know, he executive produces that show himself. He does everything. So not only is he starring in the show, then he's sitting there going, okay, I want a drone shot right here. And so he's acting the show, and he's, you know what I mean? He's doing like double duty. It's really cool. It was cool to watch it. You know, I almost got a little bit of a production credit in our last episode because I had set up some scenes that I wanted to do and stuff. And, you know, after 8 episodes, I kind of felt like I knew a little bit, you know, what I was doing. And I got to set up a couple of the things. We did a skit where I found some, the last episode was in California. We were doing like a gold rush episode. Zorro, the Legend of Zorro was the last episode. And I set up a funny scene where I dumped some fool's gold into Howard's hole. So I said, a nugget. So, and then I started dumping the rest of the fool's gold out of my pocket. Just a joke. It came out great, I thought. And that was all me. So I thought I might have been able to be like, get a production credit if we got a season 2 out of it.
You know, going back to YouTube, I think a lot of people don't realize that in 2013, there wasn't a lot of guys putting videos on YouTube, and you were also doing VHS or recordings that you were selling on eBay and stuff too, right? I mean, like instructional videos?
Yeah. There's one right back here. These things, I was doing DVDs. Before the television show, I had this idea of let's do some DVDs. And the reason I did this is back in the day, YouTube only allowed like a 5-minute video originally, because maybe the storage that they do now. And then all of a sudden there was a big deal. Now you can put up a 10-minute video. But I still thought 10 minutes is only showing like 2 or 3 finds at my Cella holes. So I was putting out these DVDs with 30-minute episodes and just either selling them word of mouth. I put an ad in the treasure magazines and started selling these things for like $10 or something. And they were just self-made things. You know, I'd go to Kinko's and copy I took graphic design in school, so I made the covers. I did 4 or 5 of these things. And then all of a sudden, you know, once YouTube got huge and now you can put hour-long videos on YouTube, well, no one's going to buy any of these. But I think it was a cool idea. It was another thing a lot of people copied. But now that it's free on YouTube, I don't think anybody's going to really buy one of these. I still have them on eBay, but, you know, every once in a while someone will buy one. But it's
for
just
nostalgia.
Yeah. I think those digger guys started doing something similar, and that's how they got on television, actually.
Hey, Tanner with the $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that, my friend. Always great to see you. You know, Bill, I mean, so, you know, we get into that. And then earlier I made a comment that I felt like that, you know, that you and a couple other guys were the first ones that were really promoting metal detecting on YouTube. And then it slowly grew into this. And, you know, as we stand tonight, I think I know there's like some odd, I can't tell. Let's see, there is 63 votes on my thing today. And then it's about 60-40 of people that didn't know your name. You know, as you started making videos, and you had a Facebook page and people started approaching you, some of the people that we may still watch today that still produce, is there anybody that, you know, came to you and asked how to do YouTube videos? Did that happen?
there's a guy called Aqua Chugger or something. Anybody know that guy?
Yes, sir.
He's probably going to deny this, or someone's going to tell him that Bill Ladd was talking bad about him. So I won't talk bad about him, and he'll probably deny this. But at one of the Digging in Virginia hunts, remember those? That was like maybe Digging in Virginia. They're probably on Digging in Virginia 39 now. I went to some of the first ones. Digging in Virginia 5 was unbelievable on Brandy Rock Farm. First time hunting there. I never saw so many belt plates in my life, bugles being dug, all kind of stuff. But this little guy in front of me and Howard was the guy I did Dig Fellas with, and we went down to Digging in Virginia, whatever, maybe it was number 6 or 7. And we're in line at the hotel, and this little guy with a beard turned around and he said, "Guys, I think I'm going to start doing some videos myself." I said, "Oh, cool." And I looked at his name tag. It said Bo Omelet or something. And now what is he, like the biggest YouTuber out there? So it just goes to show you that, I was before him. I'm not bragging or nothing, but that just goes to show there were very few people. It was SC Digger. I got to give him a shout out. I worked with him. SC Digger is the guy who does Saving History. We actually teamed up and we had a thing, Saving History. He was Saving History South Carolina and I was Saving History New England. And then I started getting a little more wacky than him, and I just broke off and started doing my own thing. So, but there was him and Mudslide Slim were like the OGs on YouTube.
Yeah, there was no intent to make it sound bad. I was just trying to give the crowd a little perspective.
I didn't make it sound too bad, but I'm just saying that I encouraged him to pick up a video camera, and he'll probably deny that, but it's no big deal. A lot of people say, well, how come you don't have that many subs? So-and-so has, a lot more subs than you. Well, I don't put out videos that frequency. I feel like I'd rather do television, I'd rather, I think a lot of people do YouTube videos because they're trying to get sponsored or something, I've been sponsored by all these people. I don't really need sponsorships and I'm not going to jockey for, try to get a free machine or something, because I was given plenty of free machines to do the television show and, or maybe there might be a lot of people who started doing YouTube videos because they thought maybe they could get on TV too, because that's how I got there, right? So again,
yeah, I wasn't really sure. I mean, we talked about, your sub count and I put it to, that you're not always putting out videos. You'll make and then you make one-offs, and you do stuff that you want to do on your YouTube channel, and that's what it's all about. Whatever makes you happy. You've got quite a following up in the East of people that like to go dig with you and stuff. Do you still dig weekly? Are you digging all the time? And are you going out with, or are you just kind of, you've already done most everything you want to do, so you're just kind of hanging out?
Yeah, that's kind of a good way to put it. I mean, there's, I still try to get out like on Sundays. I have my daughter every Saturday. Back before I had a daughter, I would go Saturday, Sunday, maybe do a camp out or whatever. Go leave work Friday night, go do a camp out on site and hunt all day Saturday, all day Sunday, dawn to dusk. I mean, that was our motto, even in Dig Fellas, dawn to dusk. And to get a collection like I have behind me, it's more than just going out a couple hours on the weekend,
Oh, yeah.
We're just animals, basically. I mean, there's some videos of us doing bottle dumps with like wheelbarrows and stuff. I mean, we just go all out. I mean, we've had like big cave-ins. I broke an ankle once because the bottle dump caved in, and I tried to jump out of the hole. And yeah, I've had Lyme disease. It's more than coin shooting with us.
Yeah, that's pretty gung ho. Talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you got here in the relic room today. What's your old? I mean, since we got more than metal detectors in here, we got treasure hunters of all sorts.
Yeah.
What's your favorite or your oldest bottle that you got hanging out with you there? And tell us a little bit about it.
I've got some colonial bottles. There's one at my feet here. It's the old black glass, those old black glass ale bottles. It's really a thrill to. I've got only like one or two whole ones, because it's my feeling that if you're a colonial settler and you empty a rum bottle or something, I've read that they'll continue using that as a water jug or something. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you going down to Walmart to buy another. You're living off the land back then. That's what's fascinating with me. I've always been fascinated with history. I think I've seen a lot of people come and go in the hobby because maybe they didn't have that real fascination with history. Yeah, I'm just fascinated with how do these people get by without electricity and stuff, I mean, these people, candlelight, if they could find a candle. I mean, these people built these cellar holes themselves a lot of times.
Yeah, think about the work that actually went into building your property walls in your house, your cellar hole, and they also built. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you would find in some places that they would build like a separate little cellar that like they kept their coal products in under the ground stuff too. Do you find those there at all?
Yeah, we call them. They're like. I just had a blank. But we have all kinds of what we call the outbuildings. So some of them had ice houses, maybe a blacksmith shop. So all that kind of stuff you can find, and I think I've been to so many cellar holes where I can usually say, okay, that was the main house, see the chimney pile, and that was some kind of a outbuilding, and it's like a workshop, or a lot of the little blacksmith shops, you can tell right away because it's all might be a ton of horseshoes around it or a bunch of iron, and you find blacksmithing tools and stuff. So it's neat to kind of. Then you start adding up the puzzle and trying to visualize exactly what the place looked like, All right, that stone wall area right there looks like an animal pen, so that's what fascinates me. We're putting a puzzle back together. It's amateur archaeology,
So I got a question for you. Sorry, Shane.
Go ahead.
So when you come up to one of these places, not like a farm field, but you come up to these cellar holes, or you're digging to a place for the first time, what's your strategy when you go into these? Do you look for certain signals first and then go back and clean up? Mark, hey, I know there's something there. I don't want to carry that big, heavy piece of metal around for a while. I'm going to come back and dig that. Or do you just dig it all as you go?
Nowadays, I would say pretty much dig it all, and you really know how to work the iron. You got to have them and the patience. I also seen a lot of people come and go in the hobby because maybe they didn't have the patience, I see a lot of people that if you watch my videos, I was one of the first ones to run like the Garrett AT, like wide open, like listening to the iron audio, listening to every single nail. Well, even Garrett told me, why are you doing that? You need to turn that off so you don't hear all that noise. I'm like, no, I want to hear how many, if I'm in a bed of nails or whatever, and then maybe hear a little squeak in between the iron and pull a button out of the iron. Unfortunately, a lot of the cellar holes, and maybe it's because I put too many videos out on cellar holes, it's really rare to find a virgin cellar hole now with all the software everybody's using, and maybe everybody else is hiking the stone walls now because I taught everybody how to do it. So for me to find a virgin stone wall now is like hen's teeth, but it's almost, we get satisfaction out of going to a cellar hole that's been what's called pounded.
Yeah.
Still go and pull something out of the nails, because the nails really mask a lot.
Oh yeah.
I've got cellar holes that are a couple miles from my house that I can still go and work the nails and maybe pull a button out, even though I've hunted it 30 times. Maybe you got another machine. Maybe you went over it a different way, you know, and you heard that little squeak that you didn't hear it before. And it takes a lot of patience, a lot of digging. And me and Howard, we used to go to Cella holes and with like a rake or something and rake off a couple inches. You know, and get, you know, maybe you're moving some nails around, and now you're finding buttons that no one ever heard before. I found a beautiful large scent recently at a cellar hole. It was right along a dirt road. Everybody said it pounded for years. You ain't gonna find anything, but I noticed it was a pine straw forest. You know, all the pine straw. You can have 4 inches of pine straw on top of the ground.
Oh yeah.
Coming, they're swinging over the pine straw. They're losing 4 inches depth. I went in there with an iron rake. I raked a path from the well to the foundation and dug a beautiful 1847 large scent, very detailed, on a place everybody told me you're not going to find anything. So, you know what I mean? Sometimes
That's
making
awesome.
that extra effort nowadays will pay off.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of satisfaction in going to a place that someone tells you ain't going to find nothing. And, you know, showing them what you found. And then they'll start saying you planted it or something, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that, you know, a lot of the places that we go around here, especially like the houses and stuff, there's been people come through our area way before us and have hit most every last one of them, because the people will tell you, oh, such and such detected here. You know, the other part of that was that you talk about playing in the nails and in the iron. I listen to iron audio too.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite machine to use today with all the new technology? What do you like the most right now?
I like to play around. Like I said, I'm wearing a Technetic shirt right now. So, you know, like I said, a lot of people are probably jockeying for sponsors. I'm not like on some team or whatever, Technetic team or Garrett bikini team or whatever. Yeah, I've been sponsored by all these people because of the TV show. So I have a lot of different detectors I like to mess around with. Sometimes it's just my mood. Sometimes, like the Garrett AT Gold, I've rigged up with I think it's a 13-inch D-Tech coil that never leaves the machine. I think I even got rid of the Garrett stock coil because I like the D-Tech coil and I like the size of it. So, all right, that's maybe good for, you know, a certain field or something. Or okay, maybe I feel like using the T2. You know, just going back old school. The T2 is still an awesome machine. I used the T2 on the pilot episode of Dig Fellas, and it's still good today. So, you know, I got the AT Gold, the T2. I love the Nokta Simplex. The Nokta Macro Simplex is the best bang for the buck at what, $330 with the wireless headphones. I've been playing with that recently. I don't know if that's the deepest machine, but it's good in nails, got good iron audio, so it's good for what I do in the nails. You don't need to get a foot deep when you're in a bed of nails around the foundation, you know.
Right.
But I like good iron audio, and all of the machines I mentioned have that. And I think for my style of hunting, especially a cellar hole, I don't know, do you guys have a cellar holes where you are? I remember down south we really didn't have them.
You know, Nick and I, we had one permission that, I mean, I guess we consider it like a cellar hole. It was up in the woods in the hill, and it was, you know, on a thing we could see the foundation of the house. But, you know, we have several places, but, you know, it's not like they're as prolific as what you would have before. A lot of the stuff here was built late enough that there's still more remnants of the house that was still there. So it's hard for us to call them cellar holes, but we do got it.
Maybe down south, I don't think the basement wasn't as common as up here. Like you were saying, you had to have like cold storage for stuff in the basement. Some of these still go down the stairway and it's still cold down there. Like, you know what I mean? We'll go down there and put our drinks in the stone wall or something, you know, because it is cooler underground, obviously. And that's why these things were built.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I hate to call them cellar holes here. We do have some of them. We have some stone. We have plenty of stone walls that mark and a lot of people that lived out in the country, but it was way more sparing. They weren't packed in together, and there wasn't like real areas for it. It was when you find a cellar hole out here, it's because it's in the middle of nowhere, kind of type of thing. Other what's your favorite Rev War find? I mean, I can go on and on about favorite finds, but something from the Rev War that you like, that you found that stands out above the rest.
Can I get up a minute and show you?
Absolutely. I want to thank everybody that's in the chat tonight. I've seen a lot of good commenting and talking going by, and I haven't had a chance to say hi to everybody. So everybody, we'll catch up to you again next week. But thank you. I see a lot of new names tonight too, so I hope that's because of Bill.
I'll say hi to everybody too, and thanks for coming along and asking the good questions. So I got this here. I wish I could show you the real thing.
Bringing full screen, Shane. There he is.
I haven't sold many relics, but I did sell this belt plate.
Wow.
Found in South Carolina. It's a British 3rd Regiment of Foot. It's got a dragon or something on it, or is that a griffin? A griffin, they call it.
Looks like, yeah, it's got wings, so it's probably a griffin, and it's got 4 legs. I'll say griffin.
It's the 3rd Regiment of Foot. They fought in South Carolina in the Rev War, and I think they were only in the country 3 or 4 months. Mega rare. Should have never sold it. It's probably worth the 3 times what I sold it for. But you know what? I was a young kid getting married, needed money, and to sell a rusty belt buckle seemed like a good idea at the time.
But you have memoration of it, that's really cool.
Yeah, I got a good picture of it. This is a good scan of it hanging in my treasure room. So
heck yeah. I mean, anything with a mythological creature with wings on it from the 16 or 1700s would be fantastic.
You want to know something funny though? I found it. We were hunting a private schoolyard, right? In South Carolina, Somerville, South Carolina. And I was more excited that I found my first walking Liberty half that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was more of a coin shooter back then. I just thought that was like a kid's toy buckle or something, because I found it on a school ground. Would you expect to find a war artifact in the back of a schoolyard? You know what I mean? Well,
No,
it turned out that later on someone said that school was built right on top of where they camped or something. So that's how the buckle got in the behind the schoolyard.
yeah,
but it's funny that I thought the Walker was better than that at the time. Imagine giving that to the landowner, thinking it was a hunk of junk.
Yeah, sometimes the best finds come out in the weirdest places, and you don't have any explanation why.
It also goes to show you that, don't throw it away or give it away. Hang on to it till you know for sure what it is.
Yeah, I've got one of those.
Like that. Yeah, Nick has got like a slide strap from it's got a military eagle on it that we've been trying to identify for probably 4 years right now, and nobody's ever really helped us. And it's the eagle on it's pretty telling about the age of it, so it's pre-Civil War for sure, but we have never had anybody definitively identify it. And we've put it out there on forums, we've put it out there tons of places, and it's like a slide strap for a bag. I'll send you a picture of it later and let you look at it, because you might be the guy to send it to be honest.
What about Troiani? Has anybody sent a picture to him, Don Troiani?
We put it on like Find Them All and several of the the metal detecting websites, and then ID Me.
I can give you Troiani's email, because he's the man. He's the guy that identified that buckle I just held up and stuff. So
yeah,
that's what we need.
He wrote a book on military buttons and stuff. So he's the man.
See, there you go, Nick.
He actually welcomes random emails because he's a buyer too. So
this buckle that Nick's got, this slide buckle, it's like a slide strap for but it's really thin. It's not heavy, but it's got really pronounced 4 eagles and 1 on each side on it, and then they're We thought they were somewhere between 1820 and 1840, somewhere in that ballpark range. By the way the eagle looked, but we couldn't identify it and couldn't find nobody to really help us.
Sometimes that's good news because no one could identify that buckle until that guy Troiani got a hold. You know what I mean? There was all kinds of things. People said, "Oh, that's dragoons," or "Oh, that's just," you know what I mean?
Right.
So
but
yeah,
that's a good thing. Going forward, we kind of talked a lot about the past, and here for a few minutes. I mean, I know you got something that you're getting ready to release. I seen you released a picture of something that you dug up, and you got a video coming out pretty soon. When's that video going to release that you're going to drop? And just give us a little hint on what's going to be in that video. Maybe not the big hint, but
Well, that was a good teaser. Everybody else does these real teasy thumbnails, so I thought I'd try my hand at that. I really did. The prior video before this, it was my last metal detecting video. See, I think some people get a little turned off by my style, which jumps all over the place sometimes. Like I did a metal detecting video. It did pretty well. It was a picnic grove we did. It was an abandoned picnic grove, and we found like all these silver coins that were hammered into a bracelet, and that was a really good video. I found a really, really nice ring. Usually we don't find jewelry. It's kind of an accident if I find a nice ring, because that's not really what we're looking for. But a beautiful Victorian ring turned up in that video. Got a lot of hits. Then my next video, I did a bottle dump where I dug up that big ice cream sign. So there's some people that say, "Oh, he's just doing bottle dumps now. I want to see metal detectors." So I try to then go back to, okay, now the next one's going to be a metal detecting video, because you don't want to lose fans. But I kind of, like I said, I fancy myself as an all-around metal detector guy. We did a great video, I thought, on the fern fossils that we have here. We have Carboniferous fern fossils all around here. Carboniferous period is pretty darn old, so it's cool to break rocks open and see beautiful ferns,
Right.
I might do a video on that next, and then all the detector people are going to say, "When's your next detector?" Yeah. That's my style. And you know what? I also believe in quality over quantity. We talked about this off camera. It's like I can throw out a video every day if I wanted to.
Right.
Probably just be a bunch of crap, either me talking or a bunch of short videos. I'd rather do one good 20-minute video with a lot of good finds than just throw out crap videos to get into YouTube's algorithm. A lot of people, they can't understand, "Oh, you've only got 14,000 subs. How can that be?" Well, after the TV show, I didn't feel like I got to the point where when I was doing television, I didn't want to, I didn't feel like I had to be releasing YouTube videos because I was going to be on the Travel Channel next Wednesday night. So I didn't really know about YouTube algorithms and all this stuff. And I didn't really feel like I wanted to keep up with it. Like I said, I got a daughter, I got other interests, and seems like all these people that put out a YouTube video every other day, I don't think they work, or they live in their parents' basement or something.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough to, Nick and I, we both work at the same place, and we both work about the same amount of hours and put enough time into our job. And then, he's got young kids, and mine are almost grown. And it's really, I still make a video. I mean, mainly every week. Sometimes I'll miss a week here and there. And it's not that easy to get done. I mean, editing takes a while, trying to prep it up and be good with it.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of time. To do this, it takes a lot of time. You got to have time to do it.
Realize it. People come into my Facebook group and say, "When's the next video? I'm sick of waiting." I feel like they want to come over and edit it for me. You know, I, we do work too. Sometimes after work, if you've been staring at a computer in the office all day, you want to come home and stare at the computer a few more hours, you know, not too
Right.
sorry. But I didn't answer your question. The next video, I teased a picture of me holding a money box. I actually found a cash box at that old abandoned picnic grove, and it was buried along a stone wall and marked like somebody had stolen a cash box and marked it. Really exciting. I'm not going to spoil it and tell you what was in it, but we did break it open on camera. So the thumbnail is going to be me holding up that money box. It looks really cool. That's my teaser picture. I guess you saw it.
Yeah, I saw it on your group on Facebook. Also, you know, I posted in here tonight. I pinned the message up top. Marlon linked to Bill's YouTube channel. If you haven't got a chance to see any of the catalog of his videos, please swing over there and watch some of them. You'll be impressed and you will learn a lot. I learn a lot watching his channel all the time. I learned a lot about my channel from watching his. Also, Scuba Sonia's puts in here that I post whatever I happen to be treasure hunting, magnet fishing, metal detecting, fossil hunting, bottle digging. It's all about adventure. Regardless of what I am looking for, those genuinely enjoy watching me and my adventures will continue to watch and support. Nothing's a truer statement, Sonia. I can't agree with you more.
That mirrors what I was trying to say. That's well said right there. You know, and if you're into scuba too, you've got another dimension there. I scuba classes too. I've dove wrecks. I want to be an all-around treasure hunter, and I want to. I'm always trying to expand my knowledge. You know, and I did that with the mushrooming. Not to turn this into a mushrooming video, but we're out in the woods at Cella holes. We see mushrooms all around. You know, because sometimes we're hiking 2-3 miles in the woods, and then you got to hike back to the car. You see all these mushrooms. You're going, I wish I knew if that was edible or not. So I expanded my knowledge, and I've eaten about 12 species of mushrooms now, and I'm still here talking to you. So I must be doing all right at that.
You must have picked pretty well.
Thanks for linking the YouTube, by the way. It's I think, like we were saying, there's a lot of new people in the hobby that maybe weren't around and maybe didn't watch the show back when we were on the Travel Channel, because you know it's probably on 7-8 years ago now.
Wow, it just seems like time goes so fast.
It totally does. I must be getting old. I looked younger on television. I kind of liked it. They called me the young guy because Howard, you know, he's had the old gray beard and stuff. So it was nice to be called the young guy.
Absolutely.
A lot of people said, "Oh, I don't like it. I don't like the Boston accent, though. I hate that young guy's accent." I got that a lot. You know, they say, though, that all press is good press. I used to let all that stuff bother me, but the production people always drilled into my head. If they're as long as they're talking about you, that means you're still relevant, right?
Yes,
good
sir.
And bad. If they're talking bad about my accent, well, that's something that, you know, who cares, you know?
You know, we've got and just to kind of give you a little insight, we've got a really solid community in here. There's a group of a couple hundred of us that kind of frequent and we go through most of these live streams. A lot of magnet fishers. Have you ever tried your hand at throwing a magnet in the water and looking for iron?
Yeah, I just saw that. I've never done it at like a pond. I know people go around the docks and bridges and stuff. I always thought it was cool, like people finding like guns off of bridges. You start wondering, you got to call the police and see if it's a murder weapon or something. But I did try it a couple times, and we stuck the magnet down in these old wells you know, you got those old water wells, the stone-lined wells that I show in some of my videos. One thing I really like to do in my videos, and some people have actually said, you know, get to the metal detector, and I don't need to see the stone foundation up close. And I like to show the site and really kind of see, you know what I mean? Because some people don't even, they go right into the first hole. You know what I mean? I'd rather show, because again, it fascinates me. These foundations that, you know, sometimes when I have people come up from the south or come from other states to hunt with me, I'll take them to a Cella hole, and I'll take them to a good one just to like show them that these sites are they're crazy. Some of these things, you still have the stone foundation still standing after 300 years. Or, you know, the root cellar, that's the term we were trying to remember earlier. The root cellars, where they kept the stuff cold. You still go down in the root cellar and it's still cold in there, you know. These sites are just fascinating, and it's fascinating to, you know, still go to them and find colonial artifacts from them.
You know, you're saying that you've probably done most everything you can do in metal detecting. Have you pulled something out of an old cellar hole? Something that you didn't expect to find there? Something that seemed out of place, and you kind of wonder how it got there?
Trying to think of a specific instance, because there's been, I mean, just, I think that happens a lot. I mean, do you expect to find a money box at a picnic grove?
No, well, absolutely not. That's why that picture really piqued my interest when I saw it, because I was thinking, man, who the hell buries a money box there? You know,
it not to give too much away, because I got the video to try to edit, but it was obviously stolen, and that's, you know, stolen and discarded along a stone wall. So again, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. You've had so much luck." And you know, is it intuition or just probably experience? Maybe. Like, one of the best things I've found, and a lot of people that say, "Oh, he just does bottle dumps now, or he doesn't metal detect that much anymore." One of my favorite finds within the last few years was that cache of the old Gulf signs. There's a few of them hanging behind me. Those old porcelain Gulf signs.
right?
Did anybody see that video? If anybody hasn't seen that video, there's a $20,000 find.
Wow.
My dad and I pulled out over almost 200 some odd porcelain Gulf gasoline signs from the 50s.
I did see that.
You got to go watch it. And to get my dad involved, who was the guy who took me bottle digging, I called him and I said, "Get down here now. I've got a cache of signs and I need help." And we pulled out over 200 plus Gulf signs, and it really was. I started selling them. Some of them went for $300 a piece, $152. I mean, you start to think, you know, people are going to Cella holes, and they're risking Lyme disease, and they're trying to dig through all the nails, and they're happy with a couple of flat buttons. What's a flat button worth, you know?
Right.
It was more important to me to get all these signs out of the ground, which had crazy value. I literally sold them for over $20,000. I've had a lot of 5-figure finds, and
Wow.
they may not be, you know, a coin or a slave tag, or, you know what I mean? There's value in some of these dumps. All those signs were just, I'm very proud of that hoard of signs, because it was.
You know, the next question is what's left on your bucket list from a guy that's found a lot, most everything? What are you still looking for?
There's probably a couple things that, you know, I haven't found. Every time I go to the Civil War places, I always wanted to find an ID disc. You know, a personal item like that, I always thought was cool. Every time I did like the digging in Virginia, or, you know, even went down a hunt and find a few bullets or whatever, you know, I always wanted to find an ID disc. I did a couple of hunts in England. It's always awesome to go to England. And I always wanted Celtic gold, like those crazy Celtic gold pieces with the Huss on it. I said Huss. You like that?
Yeah.
You like?
It took me a second.
No,
yeah, it's not a horse. It's a Huss.
It's a Huss.
A Haas.
Yeah.
Got it. Got that W sound in it. HAWSE. Haas.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm learning your lingo.
Yeah, just drop the I's. You'll be good.
Gotcha, man.
You want to see some marbles? This is marbles.
Wow.
These are marbles.
Yeah. MAW.
Yeah.
BLES. Marbles.
No R in there.
No R. Absolutely.
No R in Boston.
You know, this has been a lot of fun. You know, I'm glad you did this tonight. I mean, we've got a few more minutes that we're going to go probably, but I'm really glad you decided to come in here and hang out with us. Getting to know you has been just as much fun as asking you questions tonight. So I feel honored that you did this for me, and I'm glad you did it. And I hope the community responds and you pick up a little bit of following again. And maybe when the next time you release a video, you might, if the premiere might blow up really good, because I think a lot of people have missed out on a lot of really what this YouTube is supposed to be about with a lot of the quality of videos that you make. So I do appreciate today, Bill.
No, I appreciate coming on. It's been fun. It always seems to end fast before we say half of what we want to say. But you know, there's a lot to touch on. I feel like there's not just the TV show, but you know, I was a Treasure magazine guy before television and all that. So you know, there's always a lot when I do these things. And maybe we'll do it again sometime.
You're always welcome. If you decide you ever want to come on, you know, just hit me up. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit between now and then. You know, everybody's trying to get me to pull off a race tonight. I don't think I have the brain power or patience to set one up, but next Thursday for sure we're going to have 2 off of the prize wheel. So there's some pretty good stuff left on there. So next week that we'll be doing that. Just a couple more things, Bill. You're talking about what's left on your bucket list. You touched on.
I know. I keep evading that question. I don't know what's left. You know, I had a group hunt at my button dump. You ever heard of the button dump?
Mm-hmm. I've seen it.
Yeah. But you wouldn't believe my button collection, because my dad and I were the first ones to start scraping up buttons there. We've gotten, you know, Civil War buttons, railway buttons. I have some people, they go there now and they, you know, maybe they find one police button or something. I've got cases full of all police departments. I got another whole case of all, railways. You know what I mean? It's like, but anyways, I had a group hunt there. And a guy came down and he actually said, he's like, you know, what is left for you to find? And I had to think about it for a while. Like I said, it's maybe, I guess we're spoiled, you know. We're spoiled here in New England because, you know, most people, most people wouldn't get a chance to maybe find a pine tree shilling. You know, but I'm right in the area where, you know, they were minted. You know, the colonists were actually melting down their silverware to hammer coins. So that's a real thrill just to hold one of those things, you know. But I'm glad I scratched that off the bucket list.
Yeah, one of our younger viewers in here tonight, Shelby from Card Shark, says she loves the room that you're in. It looks a little like a mom and pop's antique shop, and that's a pretty good statement.
Kind of the vibe I'm going for. I kind of like to just kick back in this antique chair that I'm sitting in, and you know, have a beer, and I really like showing it off to, you know. A lot of times guys will come to go metal detecting with me, and they'll show up in the morning and they'll say, oh, you got to see Bill's treasure room. And then we don't end up on site until like 11 a.m. You know what I mean? Can't get them out of Bill's treasure room. There's a lot to see here.
You know, you speak about, you know, the pine tree shilling is like, it's like on the top of a lot of people's list, and you have 4 of them.
But what are the chances of you guys digging one? You know, it would have had to be brought down from here. You know what I mean? So
right.
Maybe a lot of my success has to do with where I live.
Well, I'm sure it's all about location. I mean, that's usually what, you know, there's things here that we're still looking for. You know, we're still looking for the seeded dimes and half dimes and stuff like that. That's what we're really, that's the era that we're trying to hit on. But back to that, of the colonial coppers, do you have all of them?
I would say I do. Yeah. I really like the state ones.
That's the one I'm going for.
Yeah, the Massachusetts one with the Indian. I've got the New Hampshire one with a plow, or is that the New Jersey? There's a Jersey. I've got pretty much all of them. But now you go for quality over quantity. I want one with supreme details. The one with the plow on it, I think that's New Hampshire. I believe. I might be messing up Jersey, and I've got the one with a plow and beautiful, like dark patina. And it was in a field. Some of the coins that come up in a field that's been fertilized, they just come up like a disc. Then you're sitting there going, I think I see a head facing to the right. We're looking for detail now. So yeah, I love those state coins. I've gotten pretty much all of those. What else was I going to say there? I just thought of something that I haven't found that I know people up here have found. And unfortunately, I bet you when I was younger, I probably chucked them. Those little copper arrowheads.
Yeah.
They're called kettle points sometimes because they would, they'd make them out of a copper kettle. They'd, smash it down and make the Indians would make that's contact period stuff. And I know they turn up, they turn up a lot in Connecticut, and there's some newer detectorists that have found them. And that might be the one thing I just thought of the top of my head that I would like to find. But unfortunately, like I said, they look like a piece of scrap metal. I bet you when I was younger, I probably found them in a field and hucked it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'll find it in the bushes I threw it back in sometime. You really got to know, that's why I say you don't want to be too much of a hoarder and save every piece of scrap metal. But sometimes if you're not sure, you should definitely bring it home and get it looked at, right?
I got 2 Tupperware tubs in my shed out back full of things that I either didn't have time to clean at the time or I didn't know what was. So when it got cold and I couldn't go out, I could bring something in and start working on it. And I got a bunch of stuff. I don't even have any idea what I have, but I saved it because I wasn't sure.
I've got bags and Tupperware containers and Ziploc bags full of stuff. A lot of the Cella holes, the most common find at a Cella hole, if you watch the videos, are the flat buttons. And a lot of the flat buttons, if maybe the 1830 ones or 1820s, 30s, 40s, 50s have the back marks on them. There's some of those back marks sort of like trying to think of the presidential one on the back mark. There's back marks or presidential back marks and stuff. A lot of times we're not even like cleaning the button to look at the back mark. We're just throwing these things into a Ziploc bag. And I'll always write on a Ziploc bag, like, where I found it and where it came from. And I'm keeping it in context at least, right? I'm not just throwing like all my buttons in a shoebox and mixing them all up because then you're taking them out of context. So maybe the Archies would be proud of me for doing that. But anyways, what I'm saying is I may have some of those presidential backmark buttons. You know what I mean? Like you say, maybe in the wintertime I should sit down and, put them through a tumbler or something, at least to check back marks. Or wheat pennies we just chuck into the same baggies. And there's a lot of wheat pennies with the key dates. What is it, 1914 D or S or something? It's the key
1909 VDB, I think, is one of them.
I know I find 1909s, and sometimes we'll scrape it to look for the VDB. But, I mean, a lot of times they just go right in with the other finds. So, like you said, it's probably...
Hey, KCMD, if I can get a hold of it real quick, have you ever found a U.S. diplomatic core button?
Yep, I think so. I've got some diplomatic buttons in my display here. I've got a whole display case of diplomatic buttons. But there's probably some that I don't know offhand, but I do have some nice diplomatic buttons. So it sounds familiar.
Well, in my mind, I've got it planned out that I was thinking about it. I think we should probably sometime at a later date do this again, and let me think up a whole new itinerary of topics and questions that we can hit on. It's about time for us to end her up for the day. We've been going for a minute.
There's always things that I wanted to say that got left out, or you say I wish he would ask that question or something. When I did Liz's show up there in Canada, it seems like it was over before we even got started. So,
yeah.
But anytime, think of some good stuff. Maybe have some of your viewers ask some more stuff.
Yeah, we'll plan another one out for the future. And Bill, as like I said before, thank you very much. I got to learn some knowledge today about you and your life, and I'm glad we did this. I was glad to get to know you a little bit. I hope everybody checks back in on next Thursday, because we're going to probably have a little bit of some races and some giveaways, because I haven't done those in a few weeks. I still got the prize wheel, and I haven't got a complete confirmation on guests for next week. So if not, we may do some mail and some open line chat and bring anybody up that wants to come. But until then, thank Bill for being here tonight. Everybody that showed up and commented questions, I appreciate and love you all. And I will see you guys next week.